Hello, this is John T. Rhapsodes Esquire, Purveyor of Awesome Old School Audio Stories. I bring you today another Christmas story by Edgar Wilson Nye, called The Chemist of the Carolinas. Edgar Wilson Nye, also known as Bill Nye, was a lawyer and humorist who walked the earth from 1850 to 1896, mostly in Maine, Wyoming, New York, and North Carolina. If you like awesome old school audio stories from old minds that were once young minds, brought to you free of charge and with a happy and grateful heart, consider while listening to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications to get notice of new stories. Some funny, some spooky, all awesome. These simple acts will help this channel immensely. And now, hear the words of old. The Chemist of the Carolinas by Edgar Wilson Nye, published in 1900. Asheville, North Carolina, December 13th. Last week I went out into the mountains for the purpose of securing a holly tree with red berries on it for Yuletide. I had noticed in all my pictures of Christmas festivities in England that the holly with cranberries on it constituted the background of Yuletide. A Yuletide in England, without a holly bough and a little mistletoe in it, wouldn't be worth half price. Here, these vegetables grow in great confusion, owing to the equable climate, and so the holly tree is within the reach of all. I resolved to secure one personally, so I sped away into the mountains where, in less than the time it takes to tell it, I had succeeded in finding a holly tree and losing myself. It is a very solemn sensation to feel that you are lost, and that before you can be found something is liable to happen to the universe. I wandered aimlessly about for half an hour, hoping that I would be missed in society and someone sent in search of me. I was just about to give up in despair and sink down on a bed of moss with the idea of shuffling off 6 or 7 feet of mortal coil, when, a few rods away, I saw a blue smoke issuing from the side of the mountain and rising toward the sky. I went rapidly towards the smoke and found it to be issuing from a plain dugout shed with a dirt floor. I entered and cast myself upon a rude nail keg, allowing my feet to remain suspended at the lower end of my legs, an attitude which I frequently affect when fatigued. The place was not occupied at the time I entered, though there was a fire, and things looked as though the owner had not been long absent. It seemed to be a kind of laboratory, for I could see here and there the earmarks of the chemist. I feared at first that it was a bomb factory, but as I could not see any of these implements in a perfected state, I decided that it was safe and waited for the owner to arrive. After a time, I heard a low guttural footstep approaching up the hill. I went to the door and exclaimed to the proprietor as he came, "Merry Christmas, Colonel." "Merry Christmas be derned," said he in the same bantering tone. "What in 3 dashes, 2 hyphens, and an astonisher do you want here, you double-dashed and double-blanketed blank to dash and return?" The wording here is my own, but it gives an idea of the way the conversation was drifting. You can see by his manner that literary people are not alone in being surly, irritable, and unreasonable. And so I humored him, and spoke kindly to him and smoothed down his ruffled plumage with my happy badinage or conversation, for he wore a shawl, and you can never tell whether a man wearing a shawl is armed or not. I give herewith a view of this chemist, as he appeared on the morning I met him. It will be noticed that he was a man about medium height, with clear-cut features and hair, and retreating brisket. His hair was dark, and hung in great waves, which seemed to have caught the sunlight and retained it together with a great many other atmospheric phenomena. He wore a straw hat, such as I once saw Horace Greeley catch grasshoppers in, on the banks of the Kinnickinnick, just before he caught a small trout. I spent some time with the chemist, watching him as he made his various experiments. Finally, he showed me a new beverage that he had been engaged in perfecting. It was enclosed in a dark brown stone receptacle and was held in place by a common corncob stopper. I took some of it in order to show that I confided in him. I do not remember anything else distinctly. The fumes of this drink went at once to my brain, where it had what might be termed a complete walkover. I now have no hesitation in saying that the fluid must have been alcoholic in its nature, for when I regained my consciousness, I was extremely elsewhere. I found myself on a road which seemed to lead in two opposite directions, and my mind was very much confused. I hardly know how I got home, but I finally did get there, accompanied by a strong leaning towards prohibition. A few days ago I received the following letter. Dear Sir, I had first thought when I saw you at my laboratory the other day that you was a low, inquisitive cuss, and so I spoke to you in harsh tones, and reproached you and upbraided you by calling you everything I could lay my tongue to. But since then I've concluded that you didn't know any better. You said to me that you found my place by seeing the smoke coming out of the chimney. That has given me an idea that you might know something about a device that's called a smoke consumer, of which I have heard. I am doing a fair business, but I am a good deal pestered, as you might say, by people who come in on me when I do not want to mingle in society. A man in the chemist business cannot succeed if he is all the time interrupted by Tom, Dick, and Harry coming in on him when he is in the middle of an experiment. I am engaged in making a remedy for which there is a great demand, but its manufacture is regarded with suspicion by United States officials who want to be considered zealous. Rather than be drawn into any difficulty with these people, I have always courted retirement and avoided the busy haunts of men. Still, some strolling idiot or other will occasionally see the smoke from my little home and drop in on me. Could you find out about this smoke consumer device and see what the price would be, and let me know as soon as possible? If you could do so, I can be of great service to you. Leave the letter under the big stone where you found yourself the other day when you came out of your trance. I call it a trance because this letter might fall into the hands of your family. If you will find out about this smoke consumer device and leave the information where I have told you, you will find on the following day a large jug of Mountain Dew in the same place. It will make your hair grow and give you a roseate hue to your otherwise gloomy life. Do not try to come here again. It might compromise me. A man in your position may not have anything to risk But with me, it is different. My unsullied reputation is all I have to bequeath to my children. If you come often, there will not be enough left to go around, as I have a large family. If you hear of anybody that wants to trade a good double-barrel shotgun for a small portable worm and retort for the still that is too small for my business, I can give him a good trade on it if he will let you know. This is a good machine for experimental purposes, and being no larger than a Babcock fire extinguisher, it can be readily conveyed to a place of safety at a very rapid rate. You might say to your friends that we shall try in the future, as we have in the past, to keep up the standard of our goods, so as to merit a continued patronage. Citizens of the United States, or those who have declared their intention to become such, will always be welcome at our works, provided they are not office holders in any capacity. We have no use for those who are in any way connected with the public teat. Dictated letter, signed I.B. Moonshine. I hope that anyone will feel perfectly free to address me in relation to anything referred to in the above letter. All communications containing remittances will be regarded as strictly confidential. And that concludes Edgar Wilson Nye's Christmas story called The Chemist of the Carolinas, published in 1900. This is John T. Rhapsodies, Esquire, purveyor of awesome old-school audio stories. Thank you for listening. You can hear more stories like this in the channel's playlists. Find them by staying tuned for the last 20 seconds of this video and clicking on the end screen icons. You can also go to the channel homepage and click on the playlist tab. If you enjoyed this story and would like to hear more, please help me earn the warm embrace of Mr. and Mrs. YouTubes who look with loving favor upon those channels whose listeners faithfully download the YouTube app, create an account, subscribe to this channel, like, comment, click the notification bell, and share the videos with their friends, so that they too can hear the words of old.